This video is sponsored by Beta Draft, where you can draft all of your beta ass bitch Counter-Strike players onto a team. Just kidding. I wanted to make a video about performance enhancing drugs, PEDs as they're known, in the sports world. So in the sporting world, right, taking things like steroids, even taking things like methamphetamines, speed for instance, can be terms for suspension. Basically, they're illegal. Can't do it. Can't fucking do it. Don't do it. You can't have a leg up on your competition. So, in the idea of having a leg up on your competition, I thought, well, what about in eSports? Esports are starting to have an issue with PEDs, or people are starting to talk about it for some ungodly reason, not that I give a fuck. And people want to ask themselves, is Adderall okay? Is pre-workout okay? Or about somebody wanted to take meth or Vyvanse or take some cocaine? You know, what if you're partaking in the cocaine blues before playing your league match? Is that alright? And two things immediately came to mind. One, online, it's completely unenforceable. At LAN events, it's not really enforceable. Of course, you could submit players to drug testing. But then you'd have to ask yourself, what are appropriate drugs and what are inappropriate drugs, right? So, performance-enhancing drugs, what's the issue with that? Well, you don't want people taking drugs that could harm them, like steroids. You know, Ziz, you know that steroids can lead to death. And that's not really the case necessarily with like Adderall or Vyvanse or pre-workout. I mean, it can if abused, but then again, so could the abuse of water. But primarily, there is one thing that comes to mind, and it's, why should somebody have a leg up over somebody else that they're playing against? Well, a 144 hertz monitor will do just that. It will give you a leg up, and if you play on 60 hertz, you will play significantly worse. And if, you know, Fnatic were to play on 60 hertz monitors, and they played against, let's say, Cloud9, who are all on 144 hertz monitors, Fnatic would get shit stomped. It wouldn't even be close. Now, with that said, the issue is that it's a drug. Okay? Not just any kind of performance-enhancing apparatus, but a drug. Okay. Caffeine's a drug. I could take, and I do take, the only drugs that I take are caffeine and nicotine. So, I can drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee and be pretty wired and play a lot better than I would without any of that. I could go ahead and get tilted and whip out a cigarette. You know, this is my favorite brand. You can't see it. That's why I winked. And I could go ahead and smoke that cigarette and have some nicotine. And immediately I would have a leg up on anybody else who was tilted. Because the second I start smoking this cigarette, I'm not going to be tilted anymore, actually. It's happened numerous times. So yeah, how about that for performance-enhancing drugs? How about just caffeine and nicotine? Are those okay? All right. Well, if caffeine and nicotine are okay, and 144 hertz monitors and like super sick fucking processors that give you like constant 300 plus FPS are okay, why isn't, you know, Adderall okay? Why isn't Vyvanse okay? Because it's prescribed? All right, sure. Fine. It's prescribed. It's illegal in the eyes of the law. Why isn't it okay for eSports? I don't know. Do they have any kind of authority there? I don't know. Should they just let the government take care of it? I don't know. What do you think? Here's what I think. LANs and tournament organizers, instead of paying for all this drug testing and all this bullshit, should let it continue the way it always has, because it hasn't harmed anybody, and it really won't. In actual sports, like fucking steroids will fuck you up. There's a huge fucking difference between anabolic steroids and like Adderall or like Vyvanse. All right. Now, if somebody wants to take cocaine and play CS, hell, maybe somebody would have like a really good fucking round on cocaine. Maybe but after every round, if they had to take, just zoot a line of cocaine, they might even drop a 30 bomb, man. I don't think it's a big deal. Those are my views. I think you should just let the police officers handle it if somebody's abusing narcotic substances. And if they're not illegal narcotic substances, then fuck it, man. It ain't a problem. If the legislator changed what is and what isn't legal, then it wouldn't be a problem. It's only a problem because it's illegal. What comes next? Marijuana testing? Without being too much of a slippery slope argument, because this actually has happened in a lot of sporting, like in the NFL and the NBA, even in Olympic swimming. All right. Is marijuana a performance-enhancing drug? I mean, I guess it can be. It helps some people focus. But where do you go from there? I mean, why are sports leagues at all, in any sort of respect, become like this governing body for what drugs you take into your body and what you don't? Does it affect your work performance? If it does, then wouldn't you lose your job based on that fact alone? Like, if you're acting like a randy fuck and you work at, like, Walmart and you're just being weird as shit, or you're jittering around about the place, you might lose your job just because of that. You don't have to fail a drug test to lose your job. Just have the fucking results make you lose your job. So why, even in the sports world, in the NFL or in the NBA, that they actually test athletes who aren't necessarily acting out or misbehaving in any sort of way, and then punish them for things that they haven't yet done wrong because they're taking substances that might make them do things wrong? It's all fucked up. Steroids is another matter entirely. Steroids is like a legitimate health risk. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.